future. Like I don't know about any you guys if you have like link PTSD, but if you're on a totally unrelated website, like a Web2 website, and you want to click the link to go there, like who else is afraid to like, I want to go there, I want to shop, I want that pair of shoes, but it's routing me to Macy's, like a different store. I don't know if this is safe, and then you're like, wait, this is Web2. Like, yeah, it's probably just shoes.
Yeah, I personally, I would have said that I think I mean, I can't say, I mean, the closer that I got to getting scammed is basically like, but I'm making most of my money on exchanges, right? Like, unlike other people, I have the mentality, maybe I'm wrong, okay, but I have most money on centralized exchanges. But like the closer that I got was when I had this NFT on OpenSea, scam NFT. Like I went to click it, and I think that I got close to clicking sign. Okay, like I actually clicked not to log in, but like the window. Like I don't know. I think I opened the window, I connect wallet, and then like I signed off. Okay, I negated the sign, but like I went, I was close to clicking sign in, and like I would have got my wallet fucked basically. But I actually found out, by the way, that like because the other day I went to multi-chain, right? The bridge that was hacked, basically hacked, whatever. Okay, and like I found out that if you remove on multichain.org, right? Like if you remove like one letter off of the name, you go to a scam website. Okay, like if you, like, let's say multichain, you remove the T, multichain, right? .org, and you don't notice it, and like it goes to another website that is literally the same, and it fucks you up your wallet.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the scams are just going to get more elaborate and more scary, and uh, I don't know. I don't know how to protect yourself from like the evolution of what the scammers can do. I guess maybe just evolve your own best practices, and maybe in the future we all just have like multiple computers, and there's just like this is the computer we play with, and then this is the computer that has your your security, your stuff. And I don't know. I mean, there's wallet protection, there's ledgers. It's just I think
Yes,
that
we should have like how is it called? Multi-signature, right? Like I have multi-signature wallet. I input myself and my father, and like when I sign, my father tells me, "You sure you're doing the right thing, right?" And he has to sign because it's a multi-signature, right?
Very true. I remember.
Sin, I think you got yeah, I don't know if you know you're not muted.
That was an accident.
Well, welcome everybody for being here. I see the room is filling up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know change is well, we know change is not always fun. It's not always easy. So we really appreciate you guys being here on this day. Yeah, totally. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Yeah, a couple subjects today to cover. And so before we get going, please feel free to retweet the room if you want. Definitely appreciate getting that word out. Also, like for just to show appreciation for everybody showing up, I've got an email I'm hoping to publish later this week. So yeah, I just want to like if you send me like your ETH address on Twitter. I'm trying to find a way to organize it because otherwise I'm gonna like forget who's here. But send me your ETH address. I'll put you on like the early list, and this one is a fun one. I think it'll be fun.
How do we enter, Canessa? Do I like take a screenshot of everyone here?
Ah,
How do we do?
well, definitely it's appreciated if y'all want to like post pictures to Twitter. But this one I was like, I'm not even going to require you to do anything. It's just like if you show up in world or if you show up here, just showing up is all you got to do today. But I will lose your information if I don't have some way to like it's in one ear out the other. So the only way it just helps if you like send me your ETH address or even just send me a wave and be like I was here. But and like most of you guys I could find your ETH address, but some of our new friends I might not. So yeah, if I know who you are, I'll get you. Um, it's mostly just to keep my brain organized.
Was this about, by the way, because I didn't understand? Why do we have to send address? Apologies,
Oh,
maybe.
just to get a, yeah, just like a lot of times I'll send out like free emotes to anybody that shows up on parcel. Just like, I don't know, just to be
Oh,
nice, just
okay,
to
that's
show
nice.
appreciation. Yeah, this one is a new one. I haven't released it yet. And so I can't like mint it right now. So if you send me your address, then I can mint it as soon as it's approved. So it's a little bit different, but that way I figured everybody can have it. And then come back next week. I think I'll make a build to go with it. And I'm like, I'm excited. I'm excited. I've been playing around. Yeah, Buffalo, Zesty. You guys know some of my ideas, but those are not this emote. It's a different one. But yeah, it's funny when you start really um breaking your brain to be like, okay, how can I create movement and then do stuff with it in world. And so I've been like solving some problems lately, but this one not no this one's just a fun one.
We were yesterday at Broomway, right? And Nikki Fuego said like we're gonna have a self-driving cars, right? Basically the Broomway cars. I'm exaggerating kind of, but like that's basically the idea of a like smart wearable with cars that move by themselves.
Oh, that's so awesome. I saw Vroomway Nikki make a lot of adjustments to their wearables to make them smart wearables. And so I don't know what's coming, but that's gonna be crazy. Emotes, I think, with the new change that's coming where you can, I don't know exactly, what like the limitations will be, but they in the last like AMA, the foundation talked about how you can, I mean, they showed an example of somebody with a tennis racket bouncing a ball. So there's going to be additional animations you can add to it. So that'll be interesting. I don't know how, like what more that they can do. You can add, I think you're going to be able to add sound. So, we're going to need a Mew like sound effect to go with some emotes or something.
I'd like
I agree.
you go on, go on.
No, no, that's all I was gonna say. Go, go ahead.
Okay, no, I mean motion controls, like obviously if they can integrate motion controls, right? Like, and I can move my hand in Decentraland, but I mean that's obvious, right? Like that's basically what I would like, right? Because in 2023, I think there might be the technology, right, to use motion controls in DCL. I think, and obviously I know that emotes will always exist, right? Like, you know, let's say like there's a good emote, like I cannot do a dance, right? In real life, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So Telag, you have a really good idea, and I think it's like worth, having these conversations because you were coming up with a proposal about like the names. Can you? It looks like our room is filled up a little bit. You want to fill us in on
Yes,
that?
yes.
I think.
1 second, I'm checking it out right now.
Yeah, we may not have. We may not have seen the proposal, and sometimes like honestly, I like to hear it from somebody's description. You can just get like, I don't know, sometimes a better like
Yeah, I mean
feel
this
for
is
it.
very
So
simple because at the end of the day, like I thought about it, right? So because lately I've been collecting some domain names, right? And so I thought, you know what, like the essential names, I think they're decent. Okay, like they're good. I think there are good names that you can mint. Okay, so the point was basically like to move. Now it gets complicated in the end. Okay, so like you have to be in 1 second, like listen to me, right? But it's basically to move names from Ethereum to Polygon. Okay, so basically to bridge them. Okay, now it's a little bit of an issue because like names in theory are on Ethereum name service, right? So that causes a little bit of a problem. Okay, so first of all, like why would I like want to bridge them having names on Ethereum? Okay, sorry, on Polygon instead of Ethereum, right? Okay, I mean obviously it's because of the gas fees. Okay, so my rationale, right? My rationale was why would you like be on Ethereum, right? And like use, I don't know, you mint a wearable name, spend 100 mana, right? And then you spend like 20 mana of gas fees, okay? Then like you need to sell it, you need to approve like OpenSea, Decentraland marketplace, whatever. And so you spend more gas fees, okay? You need to transfer the names, you spend more gas fees, okay? Also, at the end of the day, look, like we are on the blockchain, right? So you will need to like use these names for something, right? And the way domain names work is like you can actually lease names, okay? I will go on it later because it gets a little bit complicated, I guess, but like if you have names, you know, if you want to lend NFTs, right? Like, and you want to get yield off of this stuff, okay? Eventually, you're gonna go on, we are on Ethereum, right? Because names are on Ethereum. So you have to pay insane gas fees, okay, to like use these assets in a proper way on the blockchain, right? In Web3, okay? Because at the end of the day, like, okay, you can mint a lot of names and just hold them in your wallet, but like, there's not what the future is like, right? So the point is, gas fees are too high. That was the point, okay? The problem was Ethereum name service, right? It might require to actually switch to a different provider. Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but it might require to switch to unstoppable domains instead of Ethereum name service, right? So okay, so if anyone wants to comment this part, and then I can go on, okay? But you know, just the idea, okay, if anyone agrees and so on.
Yeah, so you're proposing that we mint names on the Polygon. You know, it would be basically be like a L2 name versus a L1 name, just like we have L2 variables.
Yes, but I want
L1
to say another thing on this N1, N2, right? Because basically Polygon, right? Okay, people call L1, L2, right? But it's a sidechain, and that makes a difference because if you are in Ethereum name service, right? You are on the Ethereum blockchain, okay? Now, Polygon is another L1. Yes, they call it L2, okay? But that makes a difference because with, it's kind of hard to use Ethereum name service on Polygon, right? Even if Decentraland is the .dcl subdomain, right? DCL.eth subdomain. It will make it a little bit hard to have names on Ethereum name service. Because in theory, okay, apart from the NFTs, right, where you I don't know, you have your name, you can use, for example, words, okay, because you have your name in a wallet, okay, but realistically, nobody cares about that, okay, like domain names is not like, oh yes, I have goddammit.it, okay, and like you send me money on goddammit.it and that's it, okay, that's actually domain names in theory, like you use them to host websites, okay. That is basically the goal of having.
Oh no, I fat fingered. I was letting somebody up and I hit mute everyone. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I was letting Elf up.
No, okay, I wanted to say basically. Okay, Alpha Angels came in. Who do you want to invite? Okay, Alpha Angels. Alpha Angels voted against me. Okay, so obviously I want to know why. Okay. But yeah, basically my point was let's say the point is this, okay, to simplify, okay. I don't think it's necessarily possible to still hold ENS while moving to a Polygon, okay? Because Polygon is another L1, it is not an L2, okay? So that makes it very hard to sync data on the on two different blockchains, okay? If domain names move, for example, instead of Polygon to Optimism, right, where Optimism or Arbitrum, where fees are low, that might be possible, but that might require the Decentraland Foundation to then support Arbitrum, okay, Arbitrum Optimism, okay, which basically means, in simple terms, we will have to switch to unstoppable domains. Okay, so instead of having DCL.eth, you have this DCL.x, obviously unstoppable domains as .crypto, .blockchain, .88, .go, and .nft, whatever, okay, .crypto. And so there are many top-level domains that they have. But in theory, we will need to basically pick one, okay, whatever, X. So we will become name.dcl.x, okay. And if Alpha Angels wants to come in and say something. Okay, so I hope this is clear because, again, it depends, like if people like are interested in holding ENS, okay, because I'm more trying to understand that I don't think it's necessarily possible to like use ENS on Polygon, okay, because it's on the Ethereum blockchain. It's basically, let's say, impossible, okay. But if Alpha just wants to say something.
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up, Sinful? What's up, Canessa?
Good
Hope y'all doing
morning.
well. Good
Good
morning,
morning. Good
good
morning.
afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Shout out to everyone here listening. I didn't vote. I voted to stay on the Ethereum. It's not that I really voted against you, because you can see in the forum, I like the idea of an L2 name, but it's gonna come with it's gonna come with a lot of questions. Like, are the names that I have or everyone in this room has minted on the Ethereum blockchain, are those names now available on the Polygon chain as well? And another question is, are they going to carry the same voting power that someone who minted on layer one? You know, it's gonna come with like a lot of like
Yes, I know.
controversy, you know, but I don't think it's a bad idea. I think I can see it coming the same way. There was probably people in the beginning of DCL who never thought L2 wearables would exist, you know, and then DCL found a way to make that happen, and then the marketplace actually thrived even more because of it. So names are being like the name funds are being name mints are being directed to the DAO. So I would assume the L2 names would be going to the DAO too. I think it'd probably bring a lot more money to the DAO because it's now less fees for people to deal with. They can mint a lot more, but I truly would rather just keep the names on layer one. I just
Hey, why would you keep names on layer
find,
one? That's my question. Because at the end of the day, like, look, I get it. You know, we have basically Ethereum. Oh my God, there's so much money. Which, by the way, Arbitrum has more TVL in DeFi. Okay, so just one thing, like, eventually you will have to use these names. Okay, because I think there's kind of this misconception that people have. There is like, you know, these names. Okay, these you will use this basically as a website. Do you understand? Okay, so like when people have, I don't know.
and we can, and that's what I'm saying. Like when you said get rid of what we have currently because it's a terrible idea, you lost me because I was like, dude, what we have
No, because
is
you can do the
amazing.
same thing, but like on Polygon,
ENS names
instead you
have
could
the
do it.
ability to create worlds, like actual ENS names, because of DCL worlds. So that feature, would that go to L2 names as well?
Yeah, right. Okay, this is true. Okay, it depends, obviously, if yes. In fact, like I said, it's complicated. Okay, because I don't know necessarily if you can do it on unstoppable domains. Although I think you can, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. No, but the main problem is just, you know, ENS. It's not like, because I understand ENS. It just, you know, uh, if on unstoppable, like if you can create the names, obviously on unstoppable domains on other providers, okay. So it gets a little bit complicated, okay. But besides that, like, yes, like obviously, you know, will you be able, like, I don't know, to use for everything that you're doing right now? Yes, obviously, okay. Like if that's the question, okay. Or maybe I'm missing something.
No, yeah, that's the only thing I'm trying to see.
Yeah, it's
Because
basically the same. It would be
if
the same.
is the actual transition of basically Alpha Angels is available on
Yeah,
L2.
surely. Yes,
That
it's
that
the
means I
point
have to
is
go mint
this.
another 40
No.
names to protect my first
No,
L1.
in fact, I said, like, I'm assuming, again, there are multiple technical questions. There is more about devs because, like, you know, and I understand that this is complicated because, like, people cannot even, like, you know, Solidity developers, okay, like smart contract developers barely exist, okay. So to implement a lot of this stuff, it gets complicated, okay. So,
But I think Decentraland could make it happen out of what you're saying. They could welcome in a lot of other communities with what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, there's a risk of what we already have in place
no,
of if
you
there's a
should
way
not
that they can
remit it
protect the
from
L1
zero.
names too. Wait, what?
The problem with L1 names is that you spend too much, like, you know, you cannot use these assets, okay? That is literally the problem. Like, you cannot use Ethereum network, okay?
We cannot use the asset?
I mean, you can use
Oh,
Ethereum
maybe you're
network.
talking about the ENS itself.
No,
Yeah.
you
But
can
the
use
subdomain,
Ethereum networks, the Ethereum network, okay? Besides the subdomain, okay? Leave that for a second. But, you know, gas fees are too high. Like, if you would ever need to use these assets, okay? like lease subdomains, or like if you want to lend NFTs, just for example, on the Ethereum network, the fees are too high. That's literally the entire problem, okay? Like these names should not be on Ethereum because they cost like, I don't know, $30. So why would you have it on Ethereum? Like you spend $5 for gas fee, then you spend $5 to
In my
lease it.
opinion, in the market that we're in right now, I can see what you're saying in a bull market. The fees were probably like $50, $20 to $50 to mint a name just on gas fees. But the market we're in right now, it's like $2 to $5 to mint a name on gas fees.
It's true, but the percentage is too high. Like you spending like.
Which I can agree. Like it shifts. It's gonna obviously be volatile. It can shift to be
Yes, but
expensive again
mana
when the
can go
masses
down
are
in
here.
price.
Which it is.
Mana can go to fucking 5 cents. And then what do? You spend 150 mana to mint a 100 name because the Ethereum fees are going to be insanely high compared to the price of mana, obviously. Yeah.
Why would they be high
That's
if
the
no
risk we're
one's
taking.
like if okay, I'm guessing if prices go down on Ethereum, like let's say, I would assume that it's all because there's no network usage or anything as well, so the fees would also be low.
No, I mean this. Yes. But basically, like, if mana goes to 50 cents, to 5 cents, let's put it this way, right? Ethereum is likely going to be $1,000, right? Just based off past price action, okay? So more than likely, you're going to be spending like $5 and then like possibly $2.50 just to mint it. So like you're gonna be spending $150, 150 mana of value just to mint a name. How does that make sense?
I mean, to me, it makes sense. But I do agree with you that it would be, if there's a way to make it better, make it cheaper, allow more people to mint a name first day in, let's find a way. Let's create L2 names, but only create it if it doesn't risk or like put anything that's already in place at risk, is what I'm saying. Like if L2 names can get DCL worlds, I don't mind. But if they're gonna get VP, I think we haven't, there might be
No. I more than likely
issue
there's gonna
there.
be like some smart contract, some integration change.
Maybe less VP
Okay.
for Polygon.
The way that
I
I
think it's
think
gonna be
about
less.
it is not it's not really even like should we move away from something or move away from something. I think more of like let's integrate more stuff instead of just supporting Ethereum, supporting more
Exactly.
blockchain networks such as like Matic, Cardano, Chainlink, whatever other communities there are out there to integrate.
Exactly. We should just change the blockchain just to lower the gas fees. Because when you think about it, right, like, okay, the volume of these names is like, okay, I check OpenSea, right? It's about 400 in names, okay. Like then, if Decentraland moves to like something like Polygon, okay, which again is a layer 1, so it will require a lot of changes, which might not necessarily, like they might be very different, okay. So like for right now, I'm just proposing like whatever, just the first proposal, like, and then it gets complicated because domain names are complicated, okay, just say. But the point is just really like to use either like an A2 like Arbitrum or Optimism, okay, because it's already on Ethereum network. So maybe there's a way to actually use them, still hold the ENS, okay. But you need to focus on one thing, okay, if you hold names, is if they're based on ENS or not, basically, okay. Because to me, if you switch to another blockchain, they might be based on another provider, and so they're less valuable intrinsically, okay. There's one thing you have to keep in mind. And okay, and if nobody has anything to say, because I just wanted to say this, because it's also important to understand, like when you have names, right? Okay, as I was saying before we got out and Canessa muted everyone, right? I wanted to say basically, if you have .dcl.eth, right? You have your name, okay? You have name.dcl.eth, okay? What do you do with this name? Simply put, okay? You will have to basically, like, let's let me make the comparison with Web2, okay? Let's say you have .com, right? And I have the way domain name works, okay? I have, let's say, play.org, okay? So like .org is the top level domain. I own the domain name play.org, right? So what happens is Decentraland comes to me and says, okay, do you want to list me the subdomain play? Okay. Decentraland pays some fees and like rents my play.org, right? And pays me some money. And then it becomes play.decentraland.org, okay? Because that's how it works. So the point is, it's all around subdomains, okay? Like if you want to use ENS, right? And I use like, let's say, if I have, I don't know, app.it, right? And I can list .app, that app subdomain to someone, and that guy's gonna pay me. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, so if you want to like use on L2, and you can only use ENS, obviously that can be a bad thing because you want integration. So in theory, you want like to use .it names. Dorit, because at the end of the day, these are websites. Do you understand? I get it that people think of Ethereum name services like, oh yes, send me like, I don't know, I have, I want to send it to Canessa, and like I write instead of their address, Canessa Dorit. Okay, but that's not why Ethereum name service is so valuable, and names are so valuable. Okay, because in theory you should be able to host websites. Okay, and so if you want to host websites in theory on Dorith, because that's where you get the most traffic, okay? And basically the entirety of Web2 names is like, I go on Google and like there's an entire algorithm that tracks all these words, right? And everyone is metagaming around it, right? Everybody's searching for like, I don't know, small, like few letters domain name, right? Okay, so like, I don't know, 4 letters, 5 letters, and so on. And they basically use also subdomain to push their algorithm, right? So they become first on the search bar, okay? I did all of this stuff, right? So my point is, if we switch to another chain, we might not be able to use Dorit's websites, right? Okay, the very Dorit top level domain, okay? And I'm not 100% sure unstoppable domains can do the same thing as Dorit, but I think it can. Okay, this is what I want to say. I hope it's not too complicated.
No. I think if there's a possibility to do it, let's do it. Like I said earlier, if we can open up Polygon for names, let's do it. I think it would actually pump names. But let's do it if it doesn't risk like current names. Like I don't know, like there's L1 wearables, L1 NFT wearables that hold voting power. And no L2 wearable holds voting power. They have no plans on giving it voting power. So I feel
I don't
like
think it's
if
necessarily the
names are
problem,
on
by the
L2 or
way.
any other chain,
Like,
they shouldn't hold voting
yeah,
power
they
to an
will likely
Ethereum powered
switch to
world.
that. Like, I don't think that's a problem. Like, the problem is purely like a gas fees related, okay? Because when you think about it, Unstoppable Domains is on Polygon has more names than ENS. So people are minting more on Polygon than on ENS. Okay, like I think it's
Yeah,
clear.
like I said, I think it would
It's clear.
thrive.
Like the DAO does not make money if they are on Ethereum. Okay, because nobody's
They
mint.
are making money.
I mean, they're making less money.
Yeah. I think they would make more money.
Yeah.
That you're backing my point. I agree. They would definitely make more money, and I think what you're saying is true. There's communities and Tezos, all different communities that just they they are able to like produce their art at low gas fees and able to buy people's art at low gas fees, and it actually like has this ecosystem that's thriving.
Yeah.
If there's a way for us to do it and it doesn't put our current system at risk, I'm for it. But what you put it as is you said what we have currently is a terrible idea. So you kind of threw me off. It's like, no, what we have is amazing. We can actually host 3D websites through all of our names.
My question to you, Telag, is have you had a ENS conversation with HP yet?
Not yet. Not yet. I mean, if
I I
HP
I,
comes out of nowhere. No.
and I really think you like should kind of like engage in conversation with HP about like your proposal, like see what he thinks, because he is also very knowledgeable when it comes on to that end of like with the ENSs and the Decentraland names and yeah, like I mean, I'm personally even curious to see what he would think, like what he knows so far about Ethereum name service.
Well, and he
And
did comment, didn't he? He said
Yeah.
it would make it incompatible with ENS.
yeah, that basically is the problem, I think. like you have an ENS name at the end of the day, so I'm guessing they are more valuable. Basically, that's basically the point. Because what ENS can do, like, it does not really matter. Like, anybody can make a Dorit a top level domain on the blockchain. Like, you can host a website on that. Okay. For example, like right now, if you search, for example, Vitalik Dorit, there is a website. You need like Opera or Brave. Okay. So you can host a website. Basically, it's like, okay, if we switch from out of it, right, and we switch to, I don't know, unstoppable domains, those names that are on Ethereum right now might be less valuable because they are like unstoppable domains. Like unstoppable domains might have like a lower value. Let's put it this way, right? If you understand.
But it would allow a lot more people to have names, which I truly encourage. That's one step of really like understanding our community. It's like starting where we started.
Exactly.
Well,
Could
here's.
also
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say, could also think of it kind of like how wearables are already. There's the layer one, and then there's layer two wearables. We could do like layer one, like names, and this could be like a future thing, like a future implementation. Once like let's say we run out of like names, and people have to start like doing like Canessa 34392 like implementing like layer 2 names, like meaning like they don't come with a DCO world, they don't come with a with VP, but they will have, and of course they'll be cheaper. But you can choose like what network you like link it into. Like I said, like I'm more pushing into like the integration of stuff instead of moving away from stuff. So like integrating let's say sinful.dcl.soul, or stuff like that.
Okay. Okay,
Being
I
able
get what you mean. I think that the point is like, yeah, I get what you mean. But then, like, people will still be able to mint on Ethereum as an option. This is what you mean.
Yeah, well, at that point, I wasn't even thinking like if there is gonna be a cutoff. Like, yeah, actually, give them the option.
Because I think the way the people need to see it, and I say, I said it before. Okay, like imagine instead of using like Chrome, right? You have Brave, let's say, okay, or like Web3 browser, whatever, and like you write like, I don't know, let's say Wonder Zone, right? You write Wonder Zone, and the web search, right, searches in the same way you have a web tool like Google, right? Okay, so there's an entire algorithm around it that people play against it. Like the people search, they want to get, they want to, kind of like YouTube, right? Like they want to decode the algorithm, right? Again on the top search. Okay, so Dorit names are the strongest. Okay, so yes, obviously it can be done, but it makes less sense. Do you understand? Like other with which everything we like, you know what, Ethereum net service, like yes, it has an incredible value, but like it costs too much to use. Or we like, let's use unstoppable domains, okay, because it costs less and it's like, you know what, whatever. Okay, it's still decent. But it might not have the same value of ENS. But the fees are lower, and at the end of the day, like you want to use this stuff, like, I remember in 2022, right? Like I was in this DeFi protocol, okay, similar to Aave. Okay, I put like $10 of it in it. I'm like, I would just want to test it before like putting money, right? So like I approved the transaction and I spent $3. Wow, now I have $7, right? Then I go and like deposit, and I look at the gas fee and it's like $60, right? I go to the dev and I'm like, bro, you scamming us, right? Like $60 to deposit on like a protocol, like it's a joke. And then he's like, oh no, it's the Ethereum blockchain. Okay, like how do you justify spending $60 for like depositing money, like which is why Arbitrum and zkSync have lower market caps but have more TVL. Okay, like any fucking shitty blockchain will pass Ethereum DeFi, right? Because nobody can use Ethereum because it costs too much.
Well, and then I see this as a problem that's not just unique to names. I mean, it's land, it's L1 wearables, it's everything that, you know, you're buying and selling.
True,
Like I
true,
can't
but
even tell you what.
100 mana cost. 100 mana is too little, do you understand? So why would you spend $20? Like, let's say you buy a name, is $20, and then you pay $10 of gas fee. Like, how does that make sense? Why would you spend a 50% premium?
For sure. I mean, it's because you choose to. Like, I mean, the same goes for there's like L1 earrings and like glasses that you spend more in gas than you do on the actual product. Like it's that is your choice. Like I guess that if I think there's a huge risk. Like names right now are like Decentraland, I believe, is the leader of like ENS, and I'm going to say it wrong, but because of the amount of names that have been minted on L1, we're like the highest user of ENS domains. Correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm saying that wrong.
Yeah,
So
ENS
like,
subdomains.
yeah, like if we're already the leader, and then you think about like, and I guess like maybe my change is sort of hard, maybe because I bought my original land thinking that there were going to be 90,000 parcels here in Decentraland. And that appealed to me because there was scarcity of resources. There's never going to be more land. That's it, 90,000. And then Worlds comes along. And like, I've warmed up to it. I'm going to use Worlds like it's not all a bad thing. But what I see is when something comes along that like compromises the sanctity of that original like idea of what there was, like um it there would be a revolt if everybody that minted an L1 name now had an L2 counterpart that they had to mint, like Alpha was saying, to protect their brand. Now unless it was different, like, and I think it's important to go back and break it down. Like, what is a name? Like, why would we do this? Is it just to have your avatar named in world? Because I could see a L1 L2 name, like it just gives you your name and that's all. It's just an identifier. There's no VP that it carries. There's no world access. Like I could see that being like getting some traction. Maybe it's like a different kind of name, because think about L1 wearables, there's like cool looking masks and glasses. Well, there's also very similar ones on the L2 blockchain. Those of us that are like geeky about L1 wearables, we know the difference. We know, okay, that one is like super special. It came out in this year. Like, I could so I think there's room for it. However, I think that it could just be so dangerous. And I think it's the ETH gas fees. It's just a problem that is going to be like going into the next bull run, every bull run, everything. I mean, that is just something that everybody's going to struggle with until they find some way to, you know, I don't know if there's a way to reduce that. It's yeah. But I think we need to define like what is a name, and then also what can it do, because it's an NFT that can do so much. Like, but do we treat it the same way we would have a wearable NFT? Like, can we token
My
gate names?
proposal was obviously, if you have an ENS, you will be dropped, like let's say a Polygon, okay? So that's not the problem, okay? Like, you know, like you're gonna be having your Polygon thing that can do the same thing as L1. Like, that is not the problem, okay? Like, really, you have to look at it in another way, because I think people, I don't know, you buy a name, right? You think you buy a decentralized name. You're buying a website, do you understand? You're buying a domain name. Maybe it's not clear. You know, big revelation, but that's how it is, okay? So you have to look at it in a different way, okay? Because in Web3, the Ethereum name service are websites, okay? Like you're buying like a .com website, and so you have .com, .net, .org, .xyz, .io, and they do not have the same value necessarily. Do you understand? Although you mint your name, you're not thinking about it maybe, but you're minting your DCN name, not thinking it could be used as a website, right? Like you could list a subdomain, and if, let's say Samsung wants to host their website with decentralized subdomain, whatever, and they go to you, you list them a subdomain, and you do like, I don't know, for example, Samsung.dcl.eth, okay? Do you understand? Like they buy their name so they can host a website on the Ethereum name service with subdomain DCL. Do you understand? Like, it's different from, oh, you have a name, you deploy the word. We already know that, okay?
So yeah, I mean, right there, you just mentioned the subdomain part. Like that, I guess like layer two names would take away that aspect of the name being a subdomain. Like currently, you can hook up your name to your parcel on Decentraland, and since like this is what I'm thinking, like Decentraland is the land is on layer one Ethereum, so like that might be why the subdomain may work perfectly, where you could like set it up and like anyone that types sinful.dcl.eth on their search bar, if it's hooked up to my land, will go to my land on Decentraland. So I'm like curious to like, yeah, even though like, yeah, how like switching, like that's why I wouldn't see much value or like layer two names having like much like voting power, uh, abilities, extras, let's call them, because even like DCO worlds, like I'm wondering if that's like running off of like Ethereum or if there is like a way to move that over
But
to
that can be moved.
Polygon.
Words can be moved. Land can be moved. Everything can be moved in a way. Okay, like you just need to basically copy and paste the smart contract on Polygon. Okay, because they're basically they have the same programming language from what I understand. Okay, so like you can do anything that you're doing on Ethereum on Polygon. Land is the same. Like land, you can migrate it. Okay, then it depends. Like
Okay, but I mean, it's like just because you can migrate it doesn't mean we should migrate it. Like that, those are the questions that the things that
no,
we
I get
don't
it.
know
I get it.
yet.
I get it. But like I get it, but like that's my point. Like you cannot use assets on Ethereum. Like if Ethereum goes up in price, you're gonna be spending thousands of dollars. Like I mean, again in gas fee, like whatever. Like, I'm just saying, like you're gonna be paying too much in gas fees. Like I think that the problem is like people don't understand like how damaging it is to pay these gas fees in a way. Because if you want 10 million people and like you're turning off a lot of players. Okay, maybe it's not this huge thing where it's like, but I will tell you this is not too much because maybe people are like we can mint names on an Ethereum. I get it, but like a lot of volume comes from flippers, bots. Okay, like when the DAO sells names, right? A lot of volume comes from people speculating, and you cannot speculate on Ethereum as well as you do on Matic. Okay, so that's another thing. Volume is gonna be higher on it too of these wearables. Sorry, these names, the trading volume. That's a fact. Besides the gas fees, okay.
I'm like,
You agree or not?
I mean, I agree that yeah,
The market would
more
definitely pump.
yeah, the more that people use Ethereum, the more that the higher that gas fees will be. That is for sure, and there needs to be like other scalable ways. I understand, but I think I don't know. I feel like this is one of those decisions that can't be made like off rip. Like let's just all make it Polygon. Like it's even one of those conversations that would need kind of like the founders and people like within DAO or like even developers, the people that are developing within Decentraland, to kind of like give an input on like
Yes,
what
surely,
what they
surely.
feel
Like nobody
would
here
be
can
best.
actually code and like understand a lot of this stuff. Like I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's obvious
It
because obviously when I made the proposal, I'm like, I'm gonna get a lot of like smart answers. So like, oh, now, oh my God, like everyone knows about. No, I mean, not necessarily, but like, I'm gonna get a lot of devs that know about this stuff. Okay, I mean, we'll see because obviously we are 12 hours past about, so like, it's not. We'll see. Like, good comments will eventually come. It's like I get it. Okay. But not many people like that is true. But that's obvious. That's why I made the proposal because at the end of the day, like someone will have to come up and explain what the fuck is up. That's
What do you guys what do you feel about just having the option for name and landowners and then letting the market dictate, just like in the real world, you choose your real estate agent or whatever, you dictate if you want it on Ethereum or Polygon or Solana or Theta. You decide where your, asset lives in the multi-chain, metaverse. And then as a community, I mean, they could just bring in multiple blockchains. That way it would be a good advertising platform for them.
It's a good
Because I
idea.
mean, you,
It's a good idea, obviously. It depends, like, if the DAO knows how to monetize stuff, right? Like, because I said the same thing. Okay, not necessarily,
yeah,
but it depends. Like,
because we're going backwards, technology wise, which doesn't really make sense to me. Like you're centralizing again in Decentraland. So like I could understand if you own like the Decentraland.org domain name, and then you wanted to give people like Decentraland.org slash their like official Decentraland L1 name
right.
just off of that, like you would on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or anything. That would make sense as like a canonical, like this is that user for Decentraland. But if somebody wants to come in from like Spatial IO or something, why can't they have their name from that blockchain and where they've collected all of their stuff just exist then in the Decentraland ecosystem? And yeah, you would, just like a .com domain, you would dictate different things, just like Google used to, you used to rank higher for .com or .net domain registrations until they got smarter and actually realized, oh, there's human content that's really good on a I don't give a fuck.com domain name, but the content's still good and a lot of people are linking to it. So we still want to expose the overall web to that information. It's decentralized. We're not all piling back up in one place and forcing everybody there, because I mean, it's obvious. Ethereum peaked, November 15th, 2021. And the reason it did is because of all the hype of Facebook Meta. It exposed the underlying technology problems with that blockchain. And it showed it's not as fast as, newer blockchains that were specifically developed to solve technology problems, rather than Ethereum that was proof of concept to solve the problem of selling cryptocurrency as a concept rather than, like as a technology platform.
And I get what you mean. Okay, absolutely. I'm just saying, like you know, okay.
I think Doctor agrees with you, bro. I
Yeah,
think
no,
he's
no, I'm totally on
yeah
board with you. I think,
Yes, but the
yeah.
problem
I'm
with
pissed
You have to
off.
be
My
decentralized
with your
is,
name
right?
was
side.
like $400, when I minted because of the price of
Yeah.
Ethereum at the time. And like I'm saying, that's technology wise, that's stupid. I'm an early adopter. I should get the pick of the name. Like I'm the first on your platform. No one else has this name. Let me support your platform and get it at a reasonable price. And it shouldn't matter if
You're
I'm
right,
coming
but
from
I think,
an
yeah,
AOL email account or a Yahoo or Gmail or wherever. And same thing blockchain wise. Like we shouldn't think of this Web3 decentralization as a newer way to monetize and centralize
I get
people.
it, but like that's the way it works, because at the end of the day, Web3 browsers, they're gonna work the same way as Web2. They're gonna have, you know what, if you have the .it name and you search, like, I don't know, Canessa, whatever you search, Canessa Decentraland, right? It's gonna come up Canessa.dcl.is or Canessa.is, okay, in the search bar. That's how it works. And you cannot change that. At the end of the day, like the Ethereum
Well, I
name,
mean, technically you can though. Like if we wanted to as a community, we could just teach people like,
I know,
go
but you
open
won't
your
be able to teach
computer's
Brave
local.
browser, Opera, and all of the Web3 browsers, because these are made. It's the same in crypto. Like VCs, they make all the projects. It's all the same companies that are making all the projects. So they make the
Well, but
projects
I
to
mean,
integrate with their prior project, and so they make an Ethereum project to integrate their prior the Ethereum project that they just made. It's obvious.
right, but I mean, they could just, for instance, in the Decentraland client itself, they could just have that manage its own DNS rather than actually go out and check real world DNS. Just for instance, like I could edit my computer's local hosts file and make my computer think that twitter.com is hosted, on a personal web server that I run. And then if I go to twitter.com in my web browser, it points to my server. It doesn't go out and look up the global twitter.com domain name entry. All DNS is it's a phone book to
Okay.
point to numbers.
Yeah, I get
In
it.
this case, a wallet number. So it's just a hyperlink or a way
Yeah,
of
it's solely to
distributing
redirect.
that. And like I said, the way it's currently with like the ETH domains and everything, they're just trying to monetize it versus saying, hey, you could just get a domain name for like $8 a year on a .com and then just have an HTTP refresh on your web page that then redirects to your DCL world from a .com domain, for instance.
Yep, but it's the same problem. At the end of the day, like people, you could make, for example, as Sin was saying, right? Like you can make a .sol domain, right? But the point is, it's gonna be less valuable than a .eth, okay? Unless we do like instead, like we say, fuck off ENS and we just do .dcl, and then Decentraland makes their own name service. Okay, it's another story.
Well, yeah, and that's essentially what I'm saying is that there's no such thing as like your own DNS. DNS is a global system. So it's so weird to me that like Decentraland, like decentralizing into Web3, and we're talking about centralizing everybody on particular blockchains or domain names again, when we ultimately know like that doesn't matter. You can say like, hey, this is my ETH address, drsaviorass.com, and I could just have the text of my key there. But like it's saying, we're the people that are taking advantage of crypto right now are the early people that are all in it for the bull run and trying to capitalize on it. And unfortunately, they're kind of doing the .com crash stuff again versus actually thinking about decentralizing with the technology they have now.
Yep, I agree. I think okay. If can I will just say like the last thing, and then I'll let you talk. Sorry, but I think the only way this could be done if is like, for example, we could be able to bridge, for example, names. Right, like the only thing we should be able to do is basically like if you still want to have the .it name, you could possibly, but like you should be able to bridge between Polygon, maybe Solana, and maybe Ethereum. Where, for example, like if you have your name on Polygon, let's say, I have goddammit.poly, okay, whatever, .poly, and like I only minted one name, so I am the owner. But like in theory, I could bridge it back to Ethereum and bridge it back to other chains. That would be another thing with other different providers and so on. Okay, again, but the problem is, like I said, which is why I say like everything should move together, because at the end of the day, like you can have something on different blockchains, but different blockchains might have different languages, okay, coding languages, okay, so it gets complicated. And like if I use unstoppable domains, for example, yeah, I might do things a different way than I use ENS, okay, and then there are other like name services, for example, okay.
I was just going to jump in and like just anytime I had to make decisions like for students or just kind of like bigger picture things like this, I think about like what is sustainable. And then I would just say like fast forward 15, 20 years from now, like what will crypto look like? What will we be doing? Like what will the gas fees be like? Or will we be on these just, like dozens and thousands of different like side chains that have all solved these problems, like solved problems that haven't even come up yet. And I feel like something different will be done, but I don't know I don't know what. But it seems like something different, like it will have to evolve in some way, shape, or form. But I don't know. I mean, I not being technical, I feel like we would need somebody else from foundation just to, I don't know, like put their 2 cents in. Like Decentraland is the first decentralized blockchain metaverse game built on the Ethereum blockchain. So I guess like anytime that you veer from that, like do the original founders, like does the foundation, do they have opinions on that? Like do they care how much this is just forked? Because then the next conversation is like, well, let's take land off there. I mean, I remember approving a transaction for $800 in gas, like $800 in gas to sell my land. But it was worth it because I was selling my land in like November of 2021. But so where do we
Smart.
stop? Do we continue? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I
Don't
guess
ever.
my thing for that would be like, do you think like Microsoft would want to go back and like the original Halo and the original Xbox, they would just want to like keep going back to that same game again and again, or would they eventually put it on the newer Xboxes? And I think, you know, like ultimately, like Decentraland, I think ideally would have its own L1 blockchain, just like any ultimately decentralized app would. And then that way it's a truly decentralized marketplace from its parent chain. And there's already multi chain layer zero solutions where you can basically just hop on their chain and then make your own layer one with your own tokens and everything. And all of these run on the Ethereum virtual machine language, like even Solana and stuff. So you can, like, if you had land or whatever in Ethereum, you can have it stay in Ethereum and just make a copy then in Polygon, in Theta, you know, all the various subchains. But I would think the foundation would ultimately, like, just like, you know, PlayStation or Sony makes their own network and Microsoft makes their own network and stops, you know, using like kind of third party services, eventually they would be their own blockchain. And, you know, I think that would, you know, eventually, I'm talking like 10 or 15 years, that I think that would be a really good goal for them of having a truly like decentralized metaverse.
But personally, to be honest, like, you know, even though I would like Decentraland to be like the fucking world government, right? Like at the end of the day, you know, but I'm just saying, like, true, no, what she's saying is true, but at the end of the day, Decentraland is not going to make their own blockchain. We all know that, okay? Like, it's okay. Like, I think, like, I hope, you know, Decentraland does their own subdomain, you know, their own top-level domains, okay? They make their own blockchain, okay? And they don't make all their own stuff and whatever, okay? Like, obviously. But I think, like, you know, these gas fees don't make sense because just from an, you know, economical standpoint, like, who will pay, like, all of these gas fees on Ethereum on an asset is worth $30, like I said. And sorry if I maybe I'm repeating myself, right? But I just think that at the end of the day, like, it's not going to change. You know, your browser is gonna be the same as Google, okay? Just on a Web3 version, okay? Because that's obvious. Because how do you give value to these names at the end of the day? They're all worthless. We know domain names, like, I don't know, like, you know, the most the domain name was sold was like $78 million. I think LasVegas.com. Okay, like, how do you think you have this domain is valued if people, like, you know, go on the website and they click the website and they get a view, right? They get a visit. Okay, so like, who is paying so much for these domain names? Like, how do you give value to these domain names? Because essentially they're worthless. Anybody can make a new domain name. They understand. Okay, like, I can make my domain name .goddammit, like, you go on the internet, search .goddammit, and like, you on the blockchain, and you have a website. Do you understand? But all of this stuff, I don't think it's not going to happen. You know, like, there's not going to be this revolution. It's not going to be the same. Okay. So yeah, my point is basically like, you know, we should need, like, I think, just from an economical standpoint, it makes more sense to like move on Polygon. Okay, even the land at this point. That's my opinion, right? Like,
Well, it would be interesting. Like we were talking about, we're talking in world about gas fees, but like so I mean, it's all public on the blockchain. So like, yeah, I paid $800 to sell a parcel of land. So what happens if you don't have the gas to cover that, but you're selling your land for a crazy amount? Like there's going to be people who cannot like exit their position because the gas fee is too much. And that is, I mean, but that's the beast. Like that's the beast we bought into. So I feel like I don't blame anybody for that. That's me. I think it also is going to be, conversation that comes up with our rental agreements, like the current rental agreements. If you rent land, when you rent land, it takes a transaction from you to undelegate that land, or like to undo it. I don't know. There's like, I don't know if there's a good name, but to end the rental contract, the owner of the land has to also approve that transaction. So that's great when it's like $3 in gas. So if I rent land for a year from now, maybe we're in a bull run, and now the owner has to spend $500 to get their land back. Like, there's the thought that people will just be able to use land for a really long time because it's going to cost so much money to like unfinalize or like take back the land. So I mean, it's these are good conversations. I feel like it's not just about names. It's about the future of Decentraland. It's like what direction do we want it to go? But I think you'd have to protect the original names already minted. Like, make it so that you can't mint Canessa again on the L2 blockchain.
No,
like,
but there's not going to happen. Okay, in anything, like, even when I made the proposal, like, I was not saying like you're gonna have a, L1 it's who's like, they're gonna be different and so on. No, there's always gonna be .dcl. We have to know what happens. .dcl dot what's after. Okay, but I think the problem was when Decentraland, right? Because when Decentraland made their wearables on L1, this is a problem. Okay, because they made and it's strong because it's not L2. Okay, like Polygon is another layer 1, and it is a problem because if wearables were on Arbitrum, okay, we will probably be able to use ENS and like use them on Arbitrum. Not 100% sure, okay, but there might be a possibility of that. Once you make, on Polygon is another layer 1, so you have to basically bridge them back. All of these wearables, like, this should have to be bridged to Ethereum. Which, how do you do it? Okay, and then you do have to bridge them to L2. Okay, do you understand what I mean? Like, Arbitrum, is it really safe? Arbitrum, is it as safe as Polygon? Okay, and that's another thing. Okay, obviously I like Arbitrum, obviously. Okay, but I'm just saying, like, in theory, like, you should move basically to, in theory, like, they made the mistake because they made the L1, which is Polygon, but like they should have made it on L2, which is Arbitrum, which is uses, in a way, Ethereum is L1.
My man, I hear what you're saying, but Polygon, it's an L2 solution to Ethereum, and Decentraland.
It's a side chain. It's a side chain. So it's another layer 1. It's a layer 1. Believe me, like, it's a layer 1. Polygon is a layer 1.
It's a layer 2 blockchain for Ethereum.
It's a side chain, so it's a layer 1 because they do not communicate, basically. DevDog is coming in if he wants to say something.
Yes, let's definitely pass.
Oh, we have a lot of friends. Yes. Sorry, DevDog. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Hey, what's good, Dev?
Hey, enjoying the Canadian wilderness for a while. But I was just listening in, and my thoughts are, I think that land and names are typically assets that are meant to be held for a long time, and you're supposed to build with them and build on them. Whereas wearables and stuff like this, we're supposed to, exchange these every day. And so for me, that's why it makes sense to maintain land and names on Ethereum, because I know Canessa mentioned like there could be high gas fees and stuff like this, but I do think like the transfer of land and names shouldn't be like a daily thing. Like, I think we don't want people just coming in and flipping these things over and over again, because we've seen, not just in Decentraland but across many different NFTs, we've seen how detrimental that could be to the ecosystem. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, that I think but there is a use case for both.
Yeah, but in what way this is detrimental? Because at the end of the day, like, look, let's make the case, like, people were flipping .com domain names, right? Like, it's okay. Like, they made it more valuable. There's more volume, more liquidity. People flip shit. You have at least you have bots on like any collection of anything. They are trading 24/7. Like, you won't be able to stop flipping. So you like, what, these people are flipping. We let them do their own thing. People flip bitcoins, right? Like, how many bots are running on Binance,
yeah, of
right?
course,
Like they
of
make
course.
most volume. They make most volume. Just
Yeah, of course, and I think that volume is good, but I think more than anything,
and especially when the
land is
assets are worthless, because 30 mana, is 100 mana is $30. So like you pay gas
yeah,
fees for an asset that is worth, that makes more sense, because the names are worth less. Okay, they're worth $30 forever. If it was rand, I'm like, you know what, it's 2,000 mana, it's about $1,000, right? So it's like, okay, we can, I mean, 600, whatever, but like, we can keep, because it's worth a lot. Okay, it's worth way more. It's like art,
yeah.
you sit on it and whatever. But I think no asset in the world Web3, like no asset in the world will ever, like, because smart contracts are basically like a mirror of the real world, right? Like when you move an asset, when you have like, I don't know, a fucking painting, right? Like the painting can break. Okay, so you have to adjust, you have to clean it or whatever. Like you have to do maintenance. Like it's basically the real life equivalent of gas fees. Okay, so like eventually,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
eventually you have to use these assets. Like you cannot use it on blockchain right now. Okay, because the gas fees are 500 times higher than Matic. Like I don't think it makes sense. And I know, like, sorry if
I
I
mean,
always say the same thing, right? But it's obvious that sitting on an asset, like, there's not the future of Web3. Let's put it this way.
yeah, but the idea is that not that you sit on the asset. The idea is that you make something with the asset, right? I think these are totally different things. Yeah, it's not. You talk about all this of mirroring Web 2, and and I agree there are similarities, but the point of what we're doing is to create a different way and to make things happen in a new way, in a better way. So while these things do happen all the time, I think if we focus more on people, even names like, with the addition of Decentraland Worlds, you can build a whole world and you can monetize that. So I mean, like, honestly, I personally would rather encourage people, buying a name that's important to them, and building something important on that, rather than buying it because they see speculative value, because these people aren't really involved anyway. They're not really contributing so much. They're just I'd rather people buy names who want VP to vote or something like this, not people who just are trying to look at the value. So I think Decentraland is different in this way. That is, a lot of the reason why we're here is not value focused, not, monetary value focused. It's more like intrinsic value, the value we provide. So like, I just think that's a major difference from the other markets and, what we're dealing with. But yeah, I guess I see, like, we do want to encourage people to be involved, but like, I minted the name Detective Pikachu, like, a week ago, and the gas fee on that was $8. So like, if you understand the blockchain and you have like gas optimization stuff with your browser, like, it's not realistically like you're paying like $100 a transaction or whatever. You can get stuff for very cheap anyway. So yeah.
Dev Dog, are you Detective Cat?
No, I minted the name for Detective Cat because I
Oh man,
strongly,
that
strongly,
dude's a legend.
Yo, shout out to
strongly
you for that,
support the
dog, man.
mission. Strongly support the mission, but it is definitely not me. But whoever it
I
is,
I
I'm
love
grateful.
the rhymes. I love the rhymes.
I
uh,
do I do have my theories about who it might be, but I'll save those for a different time for sure.
we'll have a CBD conspiracy, meta conspiracy theory edition.
When when we do the DAO roll up and discuss session, we'll definitely discuss who we think is behind the detective work.
I love it. Next Friday, I think you said 4 p.m.
Among
Eastern.
Us, DCL Among Us.
Oh my god. Yeah, we're just all like fucking the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. So I'm gonna pass it over to Morph. I see that he came up to speak. Good morning, good afternoon. How are you, dude?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you for making this a Saturday. I can finally come through, so thanks very much for that. I'm looking forward to being more active in these. I love these spaces, so shout out to you guys. I did urgently tap the request button because I heard someone, and this is different than what I actually came up here to talk about, but I heard someone say Polygon is a side chain, and I just want to clarify. I've been using the ZK rollup chain on Polygon all week. It costs like 16 cents to do a swap. It's natively put onto Ethereum now, so it's a true L2. It has the same contract interface as proof of stake Polygon. So if we want to take those contracts and migrate them over to ZK Rollup, we can. The L2 future is like very active, and it's happening right now. So I think we should all be, we're not quite there yet. We are on like the proof of stake Polygon, but it's getting there, and I think we should be excited about that.
So you think it's possible? I may make you the question, right, because this is what I asked in the comment of the proposal. You think it's possible to use ENS? How can I explain this? Like, you think it's possible, like, to have, for example, DCL Doris domain and like use still like those subdomains on Polygon? Like, how would it work?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd have to enable that at the ENS level, so they'd have to respect like what the rollup is actually putting onto the base chain. But that's doable, right? It just requires ENS to like make that upgrade and actually support ZK rollups like natively as well. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a tricky situation if they're not going to do that, right? Like, we have adopted ENS, we need them to like also continuously upgrade and like adopt new features. But there's no real reason why we couldn't have like our own subdomain system on Polygon ZK rollups, for example, and just have the Polygon ecosystem kind of route those names through their local contracts, right? It might not exist at the L1 level, but like all the data of that is still going to get rolled up, and as long as the Polygon chain itself acts as an authority, that it's somewhat doable in like a decentralized manner. But yeah, not easy at all. Definitely doable, but definitely going to take us like a long time to like work out of those kinks and those nuances for sure. Yeah, don't disagree with that at all.
It's good that you clarify this stuff, okay? Because I'm sure like this, if you go on this stuff, then like obviously you know better, and like if that was my point, because my point was just around if you have to use I don't know if you just came in, but basically I said at the beginning, like, we either use unstoppable domains or ENS. That's what I thought, but actually we will still use ENS in a way. The problem is, like I said, you need to mint these names. So you would mint them on Polygon and still make it work in a way.
Yeah, exactly. So they wouldn't exist at the L1 level, but we can always kind of like subdomain that out to each network itself. But if ENS supported that natively, that'd be great too, But I did miss that at the start, so that nuance makes a lot more sense now. I just got upset because you call it a side chain.
No, and another thing would be actually, I mean, and as I said, I think that's obviously like the question is, if a browser is using, like, I don't know, let's say I go, because that's really the point. Like, if I search a website, let's say I search Canessa Decentraland, right? Like, Canessa.dcl.it should be able to be watched on like on a Web3 browser in theory.
Yeah, I mean, the Web3 browser should know which network you're on, right? So as long as it has some kind of...
Even though they're minted on Polygon, right? That's basically the point.
Yeah, so you would probably need to be like, your browser would either need to be on Polygon, or it's going to need to have like a Polygon connection as a part of like the native browser, right? So a lot of this like multi-chain future, I know like right now we kind of switch between networks and do a lot of stuff that way, but a lot of like the really promising multi-chain stuff I've seen is just like a single interface, and it just kind of aggregates it all, and you can just sign it all through the EVM, for example. You don't actually have to be on like a specific network, because the browser can actually route that for you, right? It's just kind of like a bad UX that we have right now. But I think, again, that's like with time and with technology improvements, like, it's definitely possible to fix those issues.
Okay. Because obviously someone in the comments said, H. Privakos said it might not be compatible with the Ethereum name service, this idea that I had. So maybe you're saying it's possible in theory, okay?
Yeah, just in theory. Like right now with the technology stack, I'd have to agree with him. Like, people haven't built these tools yet, but there's no reason someone can't. The technology.
So how far from now do you have to come up and do the same proposal?
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I haven't actually seen it, but I'll definitely take a look at it. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to take up too much.
Honestly, it was really bad. It was really like bad. I mean, I wouldn't say bad, but like it was really short. I didn't add a lot of this stuff. So because obviously it was like, I don't know, I'm not going to make like a 1 hour essay. I don't know, 1,000 lines essay. That was my point.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, there's a lot of nuance to this stuff, and again, like, a lot of it hasn't been built, so we're really just talking theory, talking shop here. But I think it's really exciting that this stuff could be possible one day, right? Anyway, sorry to take up too much of your guys' time. The real reason I came up here, aside from that, was I just wanted to mention I have 2 proposals I've put up for the financial committee. One is that, recently we received a large amount of ETH from OpenSea. I believe it's 340 ETH. And that is just kind of sitting in the DAO, and maybe we'll sell it to fund grants, or maybe we're going to do something else with it. So I put up proposals about what I think we should do with that ETH, and one is to take up to 50% of it and pair it with mana and put it into varying LPs to earn fees and to support the liquidity depth of our economy. And the other is to take up to the other 50% of that ETH and to put it into Ethereum, like permissionless nodes like Rocket Pool. And I think that's 2 really solid ways that we can kind of lock that ETH up while still earning an income on it and still like benefiting the DAO. It's just going to prevent any rash decisions like, oh, maybe we should sell that ETH and like try and pump mana price. I don't know. Like, we never know what people are going to do, right? So I think this is a very sensible proposal. I spent some time on it this morning, and I've voted myself. Feel free. There's like varying levels. So if you think we should do just 10% of the ETH, that's an option too. If you think 0%, that's a valid opinion. Like, tell me why. I'd love to hear it. So just thanks for the platform for letting me say that.
So I noticed, and I just saw it because you just put it up, liquidity pool. Deposit up to 50% of DAO's Ethereum into mana liquidity pools. Is that right, LPs?
Yep. Yeah, there should be 2. So there's one for the liquidity pools and there's one for the permissionless staking. So we can take 50% and put it into each one, or we can do slightly less. But yeah, I just think generating these conversations about yield and like how are we going to sustain ourselves outside of the vesting period is super important. So yeah, I'd love if we can if we can all come together on this one and make something happen would be awesome. Also, I will say as well a big critique of the last proposal, because we tried a similar thing, I think like a month or 2 ago. We wanted to convert some mana to ETH and then stake it, and there was really valid criticism there that like it's really hard to sell mana and like not speculate and not like make personal decisions about like when to sell, and it's also a lot of responsibility for the multi-sig signers to like do that process. So I think now that we actually just have this ETH sitting there, it's like a very opportunistic time for us to do something that isn't going to negatively impact the mana price and doesn't have all these kind of like large connotations connected to it. So yeah, anyone who spoke up last time we did this and had that feedback, I really appreciate it, because that actually made this decision like a lot smarter in my eyes. It's like, oh, now we can actually use ETH without selling mana. So yeah, I appreciate that input. Thank you guys.
From your personal point of view, if you would like to share, what would you feel is the best use for the ETH?
So I voted myself already, just because I wanted to make it really clear where I stand, and that is that I put the max for both. So I think we should take that stack of ETH. I think we should split it in half, and we should put 50% in LPs, 50% into Rocket Pool, and then we should it's a considerable amount of ETH, but it's not a considerable amount of our treasury. And I think that, if we're able to use that to generate more ETH and we can kind of prove this concept out, then we're going to build the treasury like a nice kind of ETH stack alongside as returning some of the mana that we constantly sell off, right? We're going to earn mana back through fees. We're going to be able to, have a nice little ETH stack that's just going to grow on the side. And what we do with that in the future is up to the DAO, but I want us to trend in the other direction. We're bleeding a lot of mana, we're bleeding a lot of like USD value. I want us to figure out a way to kind of turn that around. So this is, in my opinion, like the best possible thing we could do as a DAO. All the other DAOs have done it. Like DG DAO was really successful with this. It saved a lot of their treasury value, was they kept it in Ethereum and Ethereum nodes and mana nodes. And that has been like, I think that's been like the reason that DG is still around today. Without that, I don't know,
Yeah, Morph, you I think you and we both participated in the DG liquidity pool, and that is definitely something that would be interesting to see how it went like on a broader scale with Decentraland if that were to be the case, because I think we probably share sentiment on that. I'm just thinking, like, I know we talked a lot last like December, January about the drain and the downward pressure that the DAO inherently puts on the price of mana. Do you think you could just explain that for people who may not understand, or just basically like in order to pay grant recipients from the DAO, we sell mana, and so we're like killing very coin that we're built on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, grants are great. Grants are like really, really awesome, but they kind of have this unintended consequence that the mana the DAO has was not bought off the open market, right? So when we got that mana, it wasn't like we injected liquidity into the ecosystem. We just got printed a bunch of mana. And it's kind of like when you print money in real life, it causes inflation, it causes like the economy overall to suffer. And so if you're going to give away printed mana, you should really have a good reason for it. It should be something that's going to return more value than you give away. And if you don't do that, you're stealing. You're stealing from the people that built that economy. You're stealing from the people, the creators that show up every day. You're stealing from the people that, give Decentraland real value by like being a part of it and growing it and doing all this open source stuff. So many people have contributed for free and have built like amazing things. And so, a lot of the grants we see, they're giving away six figures, sometimes. And I'm not here to say that grants are bad. I'm not here to say that like investing in culture or investing in content is bad. But when we just look at a pure user retention number, we're paying thousands of dollars per user, and a lot of them are not being retained. A lot of them are leaving and they're not sticking around for other things. And so when we look at that, we see a disparity of like how much we're earning every month. The DAO is maybe making $20,000 in a good month, maybe $30,000, and then at the same time we're giving away 10 times that amount every month, and so the bleed there is really high. I'm like like a 9x bleed at least is not great for like if we extrapolate that out for the rest of the future. It's fine to have periods of burning through money, as long as you're getting a good return on them. But so far, if we look at the whole lifespan of the DAO, the bleed has just kind of gone one direction. We haven't really been able to turn that around yet. And so, if the DAO can turn that around, if we can provide more value than we sell in mana for grants, then we actually are like a net positive impact on the economy, right? We actually make the value of mana go up. And we make the economy better for everyone as opposed to making it worse. And so I think that's where a lot of this contention in the DAO is driven from. It's not that we don't want people to have money to try ideas. It's not that we don't want funding. It's just that, we really need to raise our, like the overall DAO needs to raise their ability at like assessing how much things should actually cost and how much they should be like returning as value. And if we're not getting that, we need to have some hard conversations about, well, are we giving away too much money? Are we, giving it to the wrong people? Like, what are we doing and how can we fix that? And that's not an easy conversation to have at all. But I know there's a lot of people in here, especially that care about that and participate in that conversation. And so, yeah, appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Morph. I always appreciate your background in finance, because that is not my background. So a lot of these grants like that, I definitely like to make sure that I have people with that background weigh in, before I vote. Mariana too, I appreciate the input and feedback that you guys give. If it's a proposal about like I don't know, behaviorism, I can help you with that. But otherwise it's yeah, it really helps just to kind of hear you talk through it. And I definitely think that, like, I don't know if other projects, other coins, I mean, Decentraland is just very different than most other cryptocurrencies, but the way that it's built in, where just to run daily, business as usual, hurts the coin. Like that just, I don't know. It would be nice if that were not the case and found some other ways around it, and also just like diversify the portfolio, because I think most if most crypto portfolios or hedge funds would not just put all their money in one coin, they would want to have like diversity, so that if one coin does well, you can make your gains. And it is interesting that our treasury just doesn't do that. So thank you for submitting those, and I appreciate the input.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for having me. And one last thing I will say is that we're in a very fortunate position that we kind of get a lot of decisions are made for us. For example, like mana, it just makes sense that we hold mana, right? It's not like we have to decide to hold it's not like we have to decide to hold mana because that's our coin. We have to kind of rely on that. We have to focus on building that and growing that, because that's kind of what the DAO is based around. In a similar regard, I think we're based on Ethereum, we're based on Polygon. I think that gives us like ways that we can diversify without actually exiting our ecosystem. We can invest in things that support us and that make us succeed, And then if they succeed, we can succeed even more. Yes, you want to have hedges. Yes, you want to like be safe when for a rainy day comes. But at the same time, there is a lot to be said for betting on your own success and to really take advantage of that when we do succeed, whenever that does happen, right? So I look forward to diversifying this treasury and getting some yield, getting some income in other coins so that we don't have to always sell mana. Because selling ETH is not going to hurt the mana price. And if we have a nice ETH treasury and that's too big, then maybe we sell a little bit and we get some more mana, or maybe we just sell it for USD and we can fund grants with that. It just gives us more options, more freedom, and I think that is going to really help the DAO not be so locked into just like a one-track mind. So yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you guys.
Hey, so I heard something about OpenSea buying some mana, or I just want to know what that's about. Are they giving a donation? Do they want something for it, or investing? I'm curious what's going on.
Yeah, HP is going to have more info there than me on exactly what happened. As far as I'm aware, all I know is that OpenSea owed us 340 mana, and they sent that through. I don't think we sold anything. There should have been a proposal if we were going to do anything else, if we were going to like sell something to them, and I haven't seen anything around that. So I think this was just like a payment of some kind for either the foundation's past interactions or something the DAO did, before we were established. But it doesn't seem like we gave anything up. It does seem like that was just a direct payment to the DAO for nothing in return that comes from us, if that makes sense.
And you said 340 mana, but I think you were saying 340.
Sorry, 340 ETH. Yeah.
That's okay. I do that all the time in my bank account.
It's very confusing with all these different currencies.
Okay. Well, hopefully something good happens with the money.
I hope so. Yeah, check out the proposals, and if you guys think they're good, or if you have any other ideas, I think we don't have to get it right the first time. We can keep tweaking these proposals, but I totally agree. That money's been given to us. Like, let's do something good with it. Let's not let this opportunity go to waste, because we're not going to get it again. So we got to make the most of it.
I think just maybe improve the user experience. I know someone else was explaining to, I think, me about how, like, maybe some of the technical stuff that goes behind that. But if it gets like faster or more polygons, and I think that would be great. Got to compete with the other side.
100%. I think someone else has been looking into proposals for focusing on more platform development, more platform stability. I've been checking out the new clients that the Protocol Squad made, so like the Godot client, the Babylon JS client, and I think that is going to do a lot for what you're talking about. I think that's really going to improve, the frame rate and just like the amount of crashes that happen, and just have a much more stable game on top of the Decentraland ecosystem. So I'm pretty bullish on that. I don't know if people have checked out the Babylon JS client, but it's pretty snappy. I like it.
Oh, I had mentioned, I think, a Congo or a Congo line another time, and then I saw someone posted uh, an image of them doing like a Congo line in Decentraland. So woohoo!
We have done it. Yeah, we can actually thank Odd Job for that one. The Congo line was built with the new like slow dance emote that he and Tang put together. So he I guess he used the version that has like the arms up like at shoulder length. And yeah, you face away, and then the one behind you kind of faces you and does that emote.
Cool.
What's up, Zesty? How are you?
Just got a question for Morph. So this 340 ETH was just given to us by OpenSea.
Yeah, dude, because we're awesome.
Well, fuck. Why wouldn't we like do something with it other than just sit on it? I mean, yeah, make the money printer go burr. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Mariana had a really great comment just now as well. We can start this small. One of the options is just 10% of that. We can prove this out, right? We can just do like a little bit at a time. But yeah, I think doing something with that ETH is going to be like you say, it's free. Like let's make the most of it. 100%.
Yeah, and honestly, like you think back to the DG DAO proposals, yeah, where yeah, the ones for taking, some of the DAO treasury and, dollar cost averaging it and, into staking nodes. That was some of the least controversial stuff we've passed. Like everybody was on board with that. And I remember somebody even joking at one point that the DG DAO was a staking DAO.
Yeah, I mean, it gave us a lot of our income, right? Especially in in some not so great months during the bear market. Comparing, if you look at again, this is speculative, so take this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying it worked for them; it'll work for us. But if you look at the DG token price versus Ethereum, their dollar cost averaging into Ethereum, I think it saved their treasury multiples of what the DG token would have lost them. And I think that is a big reason why they still have a big treasury, and also why they can afford to have employees. They have a burn rate that is like pretty similar to the amount of ETH they get paid out by their nodes, so they're actually running at like a positive burn rate, which is really, really awesome to see. And I want us to get Decentraland DAO there as well, because at the end of the day, if you can't extrapolate something out 100 years, what are we building here, right? Like, what's the point of it being decentralized? If this is only going to last 10, 20, 30 years, we should just build like a centralized metaverse, right? Like, but I think the DAO really stands a chance to outlast us even, generations to come. We could still have a DAO running and paying for people and doing grants and doing multi-sig stuff to keep everything afloat. Like, totally possible.
I personally would love to see like more staking done. Like that is a technology that is, I mean, it's just not been a possibility in the past. And like why aren't we? The passive income from that, and then like what is it? Reinvest the passive income. I mean, that's exponential growth right there. Like I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's reasons, like all of this. Maybe there's reasons behind the scenes. They're like, no, we're not going to do that. That goes against our ethos, or just not gonna, is not going to happen. But that seems like like every one of us, we should be doing that. Like joining, staking pools. I mean, it's like, oh, why wouldn't you? It's amazing.
I mean, talking about ethos and Web3 kind of makes me giggle because it's just code is lol, and that's pretty much the only rule.
Yeah, I don't know. I just say that because I just wonder, just I don't know. Like, and that's kind of a problem, that I don't know if we have like ethos on the very like micro scale of like maybe the founders, and they went to Burning Man and decided they're going to build this, Web3, well, not Web3, like they didn't even probably think about it on those terms, but build this decentralized world on the Ethereum blockchain. Like maybe there were stipulations put in, like we're never going to leave the Ethereum blockchain. Like this is concrete. Like I don't know. I imagine there's just probably things like that. I don't know, deep down, that like, or maybe our unwritten rules, kind of like ours. It's like, oh, you just, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, but like we just don't do that here. Like you don't mint somebody's name, like, and they're like, hi, I'm Johnny Boy. You don't mint his name and then hold it and like I don't know. I mean,
well, on that note, one thing I didn't really hear in the ENS discussion earlier, Ethereum is vastly more decentralized than Polygon, so that's another reason to just stick with the ENS setup we have. Besides that, it's already built. Otherwise, we're just adding new top level domains.
I'm pretty guilty of talking about the ethos of Decentraland, so I would love to chime in on that, because I do it all the time, and I think it gets kind of misconstrued, because there's a lot going on with, like you say, like there's being polite, there's like a code of conduct that we all want to share, and not minting someone's name and things like that kind of fall into that category. And then there's things like like running on Ethereum. Someone could fork Decentraland and they could take it and just try and re-implement it on Cardano if they wanted to. I don't know if it would like benefit them or like really get them anything, because the value is us, the users, and we all like using the platform on Ethereum the most. So it might be a little rude to like take someone's content or their open source code and like redeploy it, but technically possible. But I talk about ethos a lot, and the reason I talk about ethos is because something that I encounter all the time in my day-to-day job is people telling me that decentralization is stupid. And they say decentralization is stupid because they point out very correctly that you can just do it better, cheaper, faster with a centralized database. If you have someone at the top just controlling everything, keeping it nice and safe, and they're legally bound to do the right thing, and that's all the way the centralized world works. But the centralized world has a lot of problems, and so we kind of invented this very inefficient, like power hungry, like proof of work was just one of the worst things that ever happened to the environment, But why did we do it? Was because we believed in this ethos of decentralization and of, putting power back in the hands of people and basically providing them systems to grow on top of without giving someone else control. So when I bring up ethos, that's kind of where I'm coming from, right? Is like, we don't always choose the easiest path. We choose the path that most reinforces our decentralized infrastructure and puts the individual first. The individual in Decentraland should always be like the number one customer and like concern, and like, how do you enable people's freedoms without like taking away from them, and how can we collectively come together and like run a governance system that's not just going to have the same problems as a traditional government system? It's not an easy question to answer, right? But we do things the harder way because of that. So I hope that kind of clears that up, and because I know I say it a lot, I just don't want people to think that I'm trying to like instill my opinion. I think we're all here for the same reasons, and I'm just trying to stay truthful to that and push those ideas.
That should be like a thesis for a PhD paper.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you were saying, Morph, there, because ethos are necessary. We know that blockchain with the decentralization is about data, but even technology also, and how you're using that technology also will have, we should have a code of conduct in order to make this technology safe and this technology uh, good and progressive and good for the evolution of us, of all of us.
Definitely. Yes, I just want to say I think you can kind of enforce ethoses at multiple levels, right? And code of conduct is definitely a very important layer to have some semblance of like understanding and rules, and especially when it comes to the Discord and things get heated in there. I'm quite looking forward to the code of conduct. I haven't really participated in that conversation because I'm not super great at defining those lines, but I know a lot of people are working really hard on that, and I'm looking forward to hopefully having less toxicity in the DAO and have more debates and more like casual discussions. It's gonna be great.
Also, there's something to have in mind that is the legal part of decentralization, and how, for example, all the people can be or not have issues to legalities in securities.
I'm not sure I'm following there 100%. You mean like securities, like the assets, or securities like people's own personal security?
Assets,
All right.
and how you manage your assets. For example, this the SEC, United States SEC, that maybe Canessa or Sinful will know more of how it's pronounced correctly, but is now in litigations with uh, in some people that I don't know how to explain it right now because I don't have the case and I just wake up. But the case is that we also have to think that even when there's decentralization and so on, we still have to have in our mind the aspects of security, and with that also is law, and with that also implies that is not only law between the system but outside the system. So we have to have in mind a lot of things that maybe, as you were saying, when you have a centralized business or company, they can be more accountable for things that are securities, for example, or that are infringing certain rights. You know, because you always can make the the country that is happening in the law, the country that is happening in to act. But in decentralization, and especially if we want decentralized DAO for Decentraland, how can that be possible?
This is a great question, and it's one that I sorry if I'm talking too much. Anyone else welcome to jump in. This is a great question because I've looked into this like pretty thoroughly, and from my point of view, the securities laws are extremely unjust. Gary Gensler, who's the head of the SEC, has stated multiple times that it's very clear what's a security, what's not a security, but companies are going to him and trying to get clarification, and he's not providing any really consistent rules other than the securities laws that have existed for 75 years. I think we're already listed as a security. Gary Gensler put us in a list of things that he considers securities. So we've kind of already been put in that bucket, unfortunately, which is really crappy for us because, like you pointed out, it has a lot of legal connotations. Funds being able to hold mana, for example. If it's a security, they have to acquire it through very specific means, and there's a lot of additional legal regulation. I think we should all be very careful, though, because decentralization, like you say, it's really hard to achieve that in decentralization, but it's a feature, not a bug, right? Decentralization was designed to get away from these systems and say, look, if I think that if I want to send someone money, no one can tell me not to. My bank, like they can in a centralized system, they can stop me from spending my money how I want. And a big push for decentralization was people being able to say, no, it's my money. That's not fair. Like I'm going to send it to who I want to send it to. And that, I mean, is illegal in a lot of countries. Just even owning Bitcoin has been, made illegal in a lot of countries around the world. But it doesn't change the fact that it's having a really positive impact for people on the ground. And a lot of it is to escape, authoritarian rule. I'm sure we're all going to have different opinions on which laws are fair and which laws aren't. But I think it's something to consider is that, just because something is a law, we have a chance to speak up and actually decide if it's fair or not. And we have the tooling to fight back. If we think that Decentraland should not be a security and we still want to trade it, we can do that on DEXs. We can launch the code open source. Even if the foundation folds, even if the DAO folds, there's mechanisms in place to keep this on the road, which is scary. It's terrifying because government's very big, very powerful. But that's all we got as the people. These are the tools that we have, and we collectively, I think, have to decide. Do we want to bend the knee and let this decentralized infrastructure we built be taken over by America, or do we want to stand up for what we believe in and fight back? And I encourage everyone to kind of think about that and where you stand on the issue, because it's not an easy one, and it's going to change. If you're in America, I can imagine it's a lot more scary than if you're not, right? So just things to think about.
America's scary, but yeah, I mean, I figured that with time there will be like the opportunity for these for these entities that have been declared securities to like kind of like push back and be like, no, no, I'm not a I'm not a security. Like I like one example, and this is like a completely hypothetical scenario that could happen is I mean it could be like, you know, mana gets labeled as a security. Decentraland can come out and say, no, we're not a security. This is what we are, and kind of like be in the forefront of like explaining it to our dumb government. I mean, our smart overlords.
I just want to have fun with my metaverse land and crypto. I didn't have to be such party poopers.
Right?
I'm still
Go ahead,
I'm
man.
still worried my NFTs are securities. Like, is my avatar a security? Like, I don't know anymore. You know, it's terrifying.
We
On
are in like
the, I am going to host a lawyer film experimented in 3D. I experimented, sorry, my English. Versed in Web3 that talks about this type of issues. September 22 in El Cafecito. So maybe we can ask them for the Decentraland on, you know, and all these things. Because part of what I have understood when they explain it to me is how you market your assets is a way, or your NFTs is a way to prevent, to make the difference between as if your NFT is a security or your NFT is art.
oh, I wonder, I wonder if it's like if you advertise like your collection's IP rights as your holders like assets. I wonder if that would label something, make it into like a security, opposed to an artist just selling their art, like to, you know, make something out of their work.
Correct. Yeah, it goes more or less like that. So if anyone wants to ask them, El Cafecito is open for the people to ask directly to them, us as well, on the 22 at 3:13 p.m. East Coast. We will have the first El Cafecito second season with them.
Nice. Okay, 3:30 p.m. What was the date again?
September 22 is a Friday.
September 20th. Yeah, okay, okay. I think the last like the season one that you had, those episodes were on Fridays mainly, right?
Yeah, correct.
Nice, nice. I'm happy to see that that you know you got the season 2 getting ready to ramp up, you know, get going.
Yeah, keep going. So sinful, Canessa, you are part of El Cafecito, so you can jump also there and ask.
Yeah, totally. Definitely since it's kind of like a way out, like it's like the end of the month mainly, or second to last week of the month. Definitely like jump back in here like the week before, the Saturday before, you know, cafecito, and give us a reminder, and you know, show us whatever you got going as far as like kind of like the you know, promo and banners, whatever you may have, so we can like, you know, hang it up and talk about it and stuff like that.
Oh, thank you very much, because I will appreciate any kind of help, you know. And talking about that, what I've learned from them is that also DAOs per se are not protected of being a security of being targeted as security.
Sad face. uh, that is actually a pretty interesting fact. Damn. Actually, I'm trying to think of like if I knew that. Like I don't feel like I knew that, but I feel like I was I feel like it's one of those things that are like, oh, it's probably not protected because like laws aren't even developed yet. So why would there be some sort of protection for a DAO? The governments don't even know what a DAO is yet.
Well, a DAO works essentially as two type of uh, um, let's say that we think that it's a new thing, but it's not. The only thing that is new is that it's happening inside Web3. But companies and non-profits works kind of works as DAOs sometimes, because who participates is the person that is a member of it or has actions of it. In this case, it's voting power. And there's a foundation, you know, and there's also an assembly that is made of the people that is doing the votes. So the structure of the DAOs is very old. The only new is that it, instead of being happening in a physical place, is happening in a virtual place and a blockchain space.
Okay, okay. So they've been, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's basically, yeah, the new. Well, shit. Like the only thing I can compare it to, like as far as like my financial knowledge of like, pools of money goes, is like a angel investor like fund. That's what it mostly reminds me of. But you guys probably have a smarter word for it than I do. Um, I'm going to pass it over to Cheddar Queso. I see that Cheddar popped up as Argent was speaking. Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, what's going on?
Hi.
I'm not sure how I ended up being a speaker. Did I do that?
Uh,
I'm
I
so
mean,
sorry.
I saw your request. I brought you up here.
I'm an idiot. I'm getting ready for a wedding and I'm just listening in to you guys and all of a sudden I hear you say, okay, now it's Cheddar Queso's turn and I'm like, what? I didn't. I'm sorry. It's not my turn. It's someone else. Please. Thank you. Sinful. I love you.
Good hearing from you. I hope you have fun at the wedding. You fat fingered the request button to come up here. Just gonna reset the room real quick. Yeah, everyone make sure to like and retweet the room. We've been having an awesome conversation. For anyone that is new down there in the listeners, this is a community building Decentraland Twitter space. This is our first Saturday Twitter space that we're having. We have moved over from noon on Wednesdays to noon on Saturdays every Saturday. So yeah, if you're ever looking for a space to listen in on, you're more than welcome to here. Also, if you were interested in knowing what the Central Land is and what the heck we're talking about exactly, like always feel free to hit the request button and yeah, ask your questions. Like we're here for you. We're here to invite and introduce new users, and yeah, get you like started on the like in the right path. So back to my speakers here. Who's going to prom? Lol. I mean, we. I remember a couple of days ago there was a conversation about we missed prom. When are we gonna have another prom? I think we need to get some dolls in here and have them start coordinating.
Hey,
I
we
see.
got the slow dance emotes now.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
We don't have prom
yeah,
here.
yeah. I actually minted extras of those and sent them out to some people for the memes.
Extras of the slow dance emote.
Yeah, I minted an extra sway this and sway that, and sent one of each to a couple of people, and was like, "Here you go. Now there's not an excuse."
Nice, nice. Okay. So this has all kind of been a setup. Like, are we ramping up for prom? When is prom usually? Did we miss like Zesty? Were you at last year's prom?
Yeah, I was actually. I was still fairly new, but I think I grabbed a suit just for that.
Okay, are we talking? We're talking 2020 two, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to think of which month we had it in. If it was like in May or
No, I think it would have been June or July.
June or July. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to be annoying cat poking gif tang over here and be like, yo, when's prom? If I'm not mistaken, that was like an absolute banger.
Prom, I think, is like a end of the school year thing, right? It is.
Like,
We could do homecoming. Homecoming is sort of in the fall.
lol, lol, lol. Like, yeah, yeah. Prom is usually like for schools and shit. I think it's like April, March. So, we'll have to talk to Tang. Well, I mean, I haven't seen any requests come up from any new speakers. So I guess I'll pass it back to any speakers that may be up here. Any topics that you would like to cover today here at the space, or any comments about anything of any previous conversations that we've had that you would like to make. If not, perhaps maybe we could start winding down.
I just want to thank you all for giving me time to speak, and obviously everyone that wants to read my proposal, god damn it, snapshot.org, you can find it, you understand? So, and also shout out to anyone watching, listening, CK, Dr. Drake, Buffalo, Mariana, Alpha Angels, Kronos, One Existence, M, Sunshine, right? Like, and everybody else, Rustan, right? So, Masca, and anybody else, right? Like, so, if you want to read my proposal, like I said, to move names to Polygon, you can read it in the Decentraland DAO, and vote against or for it. That's it. And shout out to
Dude.
Insane and Canessa because two legends. Okay, you understand? So.
Telog, thank you for coming up here. I mean, one thing I will kind of like tell you, it's like you did bring up very, very good like points and a good argument for this. And like, even if I understand that like the proposal is a poll right now, so it's going to be like short-lived. So, you either might not get the vote or it might be no, but I encourage you to continue the conversation, especially with like, individuals that understand like the name ecosystem and stuff like that. And like that are kind of like, connected with Decentraland, because they will have like some extra knowledge than that we do, that, more knowledge than we do about, like the possibilities and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know, and I thank Morph because he came on the stream, like he explained. There is basically possible what I was saying, more or less, right? But not right now, apparently. So. But like whatever, if it
I
gets
mean,
voted in favor, I think it's gonna get more attention. More people are gonna talk about it because obviously, I'm not gonna come out, and do a proposal that cannot happen. It's obvious.
yeah, I mean, as time goes, like when submit the proposal again, like even with like more detail, like even like after speaking to others and getting their like questions and being able to answer them, like it'll say a lot.
Yeah. Thanks a lot to everyone.
I'll
I
pass
just
it
want
over
to
to.
say,
Oh,
I just
go
want to
ahead.
say quickly, I'm excited about the theme months. I don't know if everybody's read the blog that Decentraland just published about. They're coming out with different theme months, and every month they're just going to have a different theme, and it's going to go well into 2024, pretty much the whole year next year. And September's theme is design. And I was wondering if anybody has any plans for that theme for the month of September.
Ooh, I wonder. Let's see, creators that I can see in the room is Kanessa, Julianne, Rustan.
And then I also know that we have an emo contest, I believe, right? That is open right now. They're taking submissions, right, for the emo contest. I've seen a lot of work going on with the emotes. I'm excited.
Is it still going on? Okay, thank God. I thought it closed. So yeah, if you could still submit for that. Do you know anything about the process of whether like like what do you do? Is it like you submit your emo and
I can interject on that one, Sin.
go for it?
It's literally just a Google form.
Okay, so it's a Google form. You sign in there and
Yeah,
blah blah blah.
you
You
just tell
submit
them
and
which collection, your name, your DCL name, and it's very minimal. I submit with exploit, not because I think it's going to win, but because they're offering like most of the submission fee back. I was like, hell yeah, I want $120 in mana. Like, who wouldn't?
it's definitely gonna win. What do you mean?
I mean,
Um,
it was a very niche thing, but it technically was for the community, just like the high roller, like ice poker section of the community. And other than like Fancy grabbing a couple of them, it pretty much went to everybody that it should have. And that's not me throwing shade at Fancy. That's me acknowledging that Fancy was being a smart bitch with that one. And I there are too many jokes I have to explain there, but Fancy will understand.
Fancy is a smart bitch indeed.
Yeah, there are times he'll slide into my be like, "I'm a dumb bitch," and link me to the latest thing he just bought.
Oh, I love Fancy.
Like, that explains that part of the joke anyway.
Yep. I mean, I've experienced. I there's like or I don't even know if anyone remembers it, but I do. Um, it was late at night one time. Fancy goes, I want everyone to know when they see this wearable that Fancy is that bitch. And so and then like yeah, and so then from
Yeah, like
there it continued. Fancy is that and we love you, Fancy. We're not trying to offend you or anything. I'm sure if we were, he would be coming up here and being like, fuck you.
I mean, he just put in the in world chat, "I am a dumb bitch. Stop lying, XD." So I think we're good, Sin.
We love you, Fancy. I'm gonna pass the mic over to Rustan. Rustan came up a little bit ago. What's up, dude? How are you?
Hey guys, what's
And
happening?
Wow, I don't accept that introduction or anything. I expect a sinner.
Sinner.
I love.
Yeah, so the last few days I've been working on a new Hyperfi build to onboard a kid called Beast community into the metaverse. And Wednesday, we're having a party in Hyperfi. Stony Eye is DJing, and I would love to see all you guys there to show this community what it's all about. It's going to be pretty wild. I've spent a lot of time making it as BA as possible. So I hope to see you guys there. There's going to be a simple quest, and if you complete the quest, you get an airdrop GLB file that you can use. Yeah, it'll be Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendars. Hope you guys can make it.
Send me a link or something to remind me closer to the date, please.
Definitely
Or
will do. I'm
even
going to pin
tweet.
it up to the top of this thing too.
Sweet. Yes, please do to the top and also in the comments. So that's exciting. That's exciting because like the kid called Beast community isn't like really like metaverse savvy or anything like that. So I mean, it's good to give them that introduction into the metaverse. Show them that there are pockets of people that hang out in different spaces and shit.
I can't figure out how to pin it on desktop.
Oh, on desktop? No, you can't do it on desktop.
I added it to the comments.
Okay, cool. So yeah, everyone, check out the comments. Like, retweet, mark calendar.
I want to say one thing about Hyperfire, right? Like, Hyperfire is some next level shit, okay? Because like Decentraland is so small and claustrophobic, in my opinion. So going in Hyperfire when I can fly in the air, apart that I have smart wearables, right? So and yes, like I think I mean as of right now it's very new, right? This smart wearable stuff, but like Hyperfire you can fly in the air, like there's a lot of space to do. Okay, I want to see more people in this year building Hyperfire. Okay, also Hyperfire put likes on my tweets and Decentraland never. So
Yeah, shout out Hyperfi. Hyperfi's engine is awesome. On that note, I had a pretty nice conversation with one of the Hyperfi guys recently, and there's a future where like DCL and Hyperfi can work together. We have a huge treasury, and it's always nice to like fund others in the open metaverse system, as long as we all get something out of it and it's mutually beneficial, right? So, I floated the idea to the founders. Maybe it would be cool if we gave them some money to build a Hyperfi front end that runs on the DCL engine. So it imports all the DCL land and imports all the DCL characters. But then you can just use like the Hyperfi front end and all their VR and all their cool stuff on top. It's definitely not like a huge lift compared to like building it from scratch because they have a lot of experience and they have their own open source client already. And I think that would be like a really just cool partnership if we could make that happen one day. So just want to mention that because I need to start planting the seed, and maybe in like 6 months or so we might actually see a proposal. But if you guys like that idea, please spread it, tell other people that that's possible, and just try to get people excited for that. And maybe we can actually like bring these two kind of titans of the metaverse together, and I think we build something really awesome.
I like the idea. I don't know how, as game development, that will work. The technical.
Yeah, 100%. I was like definitely very concerned about that too. They run on different front end technology. That's why I wanted to speak to the founders and just kind of like test the viability with them. What they would probably do is they would probably build like a 3JS client from scratch, and they just reuse a lot of their like 3JS knowledge and their 3JS libraries that they have for Hyperfi to enable WebXR, for example. Most of what we would need would be like on the back end, we might need like a VR networking engine, but that's something that we could, with grant money, maybe like help get them to build because they already have one running, right? So, yeah, I think there's like a lot of overlap. It's definitely not the same technology, but that's the beauty of Decentraland is it's hot swappable front ends. You can just build a whole new front end client and kind of plop it on top of all the existing data infrastructure and stuff. So, yeah, definitely a lot of work to get that kind of connected. But the Hyperfi guys are pretty confident that it wouldn't be it wouldn't be impossible, and they definitely have a lot of stuff they can leverage.
Sounds great. On my part, just saying that the One Existence T-shirt contest, the results of the winning are going to come or this Sunday.
Advantage in the future. Like I don't know about any you guys if you have like link PTSD, but if you're on a totally unrelated website, like a Web2 website, and you want to click the link to go there, like who else is afraid to like, I want to go there, I want to shop, I want that pair of shoes, but it's routing me to Macy's, like a different store. I don't know if this is safe, and then you're like, wait, this is Web2. Like, yeah, it's probably just shoes.
Yeah, I personally I would have said that I think I
quicker than or socials or economy or even our laws, especially our laws. So we have to come together to write because now it's not a country or other country the responsibility on the hands of doing this, but the people that is making the Web3. So be aware of that.
It's up to us. We're paving the way. Definitely. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm gonna pass it to my co-host if she's available for her final thoughts. Maybe she's not available. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Definitely everyone be safe. Always double check that link that you get sent. Always yeah, double do your research on like any matters that you might get into, even if someone's hitting you up for a business opportunity or whatever it may be. Like, do your research, do your be diligent. Uh, Thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for being here on our first Saturday Twitter space. You know, hopefully you know the time is good for everyone, and you know everyone. Saturday is an easy day for everyone to attend. Um, really, I mean, if there's any feedback, please let us know. And yeah, thank you all for anyone that is new to the space. Decentraland.org. You can sign in as a guest. You won't need to sign up for anything. You can log in on your browser and yeah, enjoy the Decentraland experience. Um, if you're ever looking for any events, hit up the events page and you know, you'll get at least a look at what is currently happening. But what I would suggest doing is going in World, pressing X, and visiting all the most populated locations. You never know who you'll find. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Love you all, and act natural.
Rah 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 rah. Hello everyone. Everyone on Parcel. It's just me, the meat stick. What the fuck? Oh my god, dude. So 13, I just saw your like comments on the kick chat, and I was looking at it from far away, and it looked like something completely different, something that was dangling like meat stick. Uh Meat stick looking. Thank God it wasn't what I thought it was.
I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame your heart. I lost all ambitions for worldly acclaim. I just want to be the one you love. With your ambition, that you feel the same. I just want to be the one you love. I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame your heart. I don't want to set the world on fire.
Let's see. Something to crack me out. I mean, this song has always cracked me out. We need to get in the pew pews Warzone mentality, the murder mentality. You know the one I'm talking about, 13? The pew pew murder mentality. Oh, Derek, I have a story to this song. You guess. I demand to know. All right. Oh shit. I just copyright struck our community video. Don't worry, I'll fix it.